Welcome, everyone. My name is Christopher with the Cloud Campaign team. I'm responsible for content marketing.
And I'm Maya. I do our social media management.
And today we're going to be talking about using artificial intelligence to enhance your social media management workflows and strategies. So we're going to be covering quite a bit today. And we're going to be keeping it high level in some parts and diving into some meaty areas where we think it might be more valuable to you. But as we get into it, just a little bit of housekeeping. As I mentioned before, we are using LinkedIn Live events for the first time. So we're really excited about trying this new feature, but also just appreciate your grace and understanding as we explore this new technology. If you have any questions relevant to the topic today, put them in chat. If we catch them, we'll definitely respond to them as soon as we can. If we hang on to them for later, please don't think that we're ignoring you. But if things are sort of beyond the scope of this discussion, we'll save those for an offline conversation afterwards. We can also bring you on stage with this cool technology we've got. So if you are comfortable chatting live in front of folks, sharing your insights, some successful ways you've used artificial intelligence or ways that hard lessons learned, as we'll talk about some of the challenges with AI. We can bring you on. You can leave your camera off if you want to maintain your privacy. No judgments from us. And then at the very end, we'll also be sharing a feedback survey just about the content and some questions about the tools you're using for AI. And also along with any links that we'll be sharing within this discussion. So you'll receive that as well as the recording of this chat afterwards. So now that that's out of the way, how about we dive in, Maya?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about a few things. I'll just go over like the main topics at a high level. We're going to be talking about evaluating AI software from a marketing standpoint. Some of the current tools that are and features that are available right now that are useful to marketers. Some resources to research tools. We're going to be talking briefly about what you can expect to pay for AI tools and services. We're going to be talking about just some workflows. And then we are going to run through just a brief social media management workflow. This is just one of many potential use cases for AI, but we did want to show off some ways that we're using AI within our teams just to help rapidly spin up content for our social channels. So we'll go through that. And then we've got some fun other little things to tease at the end, along with some group discussion along the way. So let's jump in. Starting with evaluating artificial intelligence software. So it seems like a new company is sprouting up every week that's offering some innovative artificial intelligence technology. And there's a few things that I've been learning as I'm looking at these tools, and I think it's been really exciting and fun to talk about like the ethical conundrums and circumstances that arise when using AI. So when you're looking at AI software, one of the things that I consider are the ethics involved. And this is involving like the data, the model that the software is using to base its service on. Where did that model come from? What is the quality of it? There's also some interesting discussions and studies into biases within models that artificial intelligence programs are using. And this is something that can be very impactful when you're using tools to make these decisions or create content or whatever you're using them for, making sure that everything is inclusive as possible, and making sure that those models are ethically sourced. Depending on, if you're following the news within artificial intelligence, you might have heard that some companies like Midjourney are being taken to court because their model was built on data, images scraped from the internet without content creators and artists' permissions. So while you can get some amazing results using their image generation service, what's the ethical cost for that? Because none of those creators are getting any credit for that or for building that model, nor are they getting any of the revenue that's being driven from those subscription models. So it's something to think about.
Yeah, I think it's an important conversation to have just to consider what this new technology is and how we want to use it, and yeah, if it's the right way to go about using it and stuff. So even though it can be a confusing conversation, I think it's important just to have it, and to think about like the possibilities around it and what we'd want from it and what we definitely wouldn't want from it. So yeah, definitely we don't want this new system stealing independent artists' work and not crediting them. Like, of course, that's not what we want. So we got to have those conversations about these kind of hard topics sometimes.
Yeah, and like I was really excited about Midjourney because of the quality of images you can generate with them. But when I learned that millions of those images were taken without permission, it's fun to play around with, but I have to like as an artist and creator myself, there is a moral implication that I have to wrestle with there, and I don't want to use that software in such a way that's at the expense of so many others. So again, I think it's something to recognize and acknowledge, because especially if you're part of a brand or a larger brand, the tools that you bring in too are also a reflection of your company and values, and that could potentially get you into some trouble. Who knows? All of this stuff is new and emerging, so it's fun to just like see what's out there. And then the other thing
Yeah.
too is just the software speed and accuracy as you're looking at softwares. I mean, folks have been putting Chat GPT as something they've been using, but we also know, like, I mean, there's tons of memes out there of how hard it is just to use Chat GPT to get into it, because there's just so many users
Yeah, it
actively
gives
trying
you
to use
like
it.
a too busy error. Sorry. Like, so that can be very frustrating.
Yeah. So just wanted to bring that up in terms of like as you're sourcing software, like some things to consider and look out for. Again, like the accuracy is really important because AI is a people pleaser first and foremost, and it's really only as good as the data that it's built on. So as you're looking at it, making sure like you can't trust AI, you really have to fact check it and validate what it's putting out. All right. Well, should we move into some of the current AI features that are available and useful to marketers right now? Like what roles can AI fill right now in terms of like the marketing industry? I know
So
like,
many things.
oh yeah, I mean like copywriting for sure, absolutely.
Yes.
I'd love to see just in the chat too, like what have you all been using? Like what functions and tasks have you been offloading onto AI? I've definitely been using it to copyright, to brainstorm outlines, iterate different posts. Maya, what
Hmm.
functions have you been using?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as someone who has to make content calendars and make all these social posts, I definitely am using it to write captions, or inspire me. I think it's a great inspiration tool, and I feel like that makes me feel better maybe about it all. Like I'm not just like being lazy and copying and pasting. I feel like it makes me feel like I'm still doing work here by just being inspired by this system and then iterating it to be what I want. So that's mostly how I've been using it.
Hmm.
I'm excited when I write my next blog to kind of see how it assists me in that. Again, I don't want to just copy and paste it. Maybe that's like a discussion on its own. Like, does it, I don't know, the guilt about just using a system instead of doing it yourself. Maybe that's like a side discussion we have someday. But
Yeah.
I feel a little bit of guilt about it if I were just to copy and paste. I don't know if other people would feel that way. But
And folks tuning in, please let us know your thoughts in the chat. Like if you're writing, if you let's say you're a manager and your team is using AI to create content, how do you feel about that? You
yeah,
as a creator yourself using AI to create content, how do you feel about that? Carlin put in a cool use case using AI to source relevant national days. That's really cool.
yeah,
And you could even
that's
take
really
that
good.
like another step too, and like source the days and the copy for the posts for those days. Interview questions, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah. Generating headlines and meta descriptions. Hey, Mandy Gold's joining. Awesome, nice
Love
to see you.
Mandy. Hey.
So email funnels, yeah. Definitely, Robin made a really good point. AI, any AI used for copywriting still needs to be massaged, which is a very good term.
Yeah, so yeah, Carlin says here too, like that it's totally okay. It's not replacing copywriters because they can't know your company's voice and tone. But what maybe they can. I don't know. If you find those right words to use to set that tone, maybe they can. We kind of been thinking about that too with our Cloud Campaign voice. We're like, what like feeds do we give it? What prompts do we give it to give us our Cloud Campaign voice that we're building?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting topic to talk about, the tone
Mhm.
that you build.
Yeah, and we'll dive into like prompting and sort of that part too in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've also seen AI being used to optimize digital experiences online on your webpage. So kind of like analyzing and optimizing for like UX UI, which is really cool. Conversation management. Again, like I'm a little wary about letting chatbots, how much control they have, but
Mhm.
that technology has actually been in service for quite a while now. Media monitoring, so setting up listening dashboards for your brand or the brands you manage.
Social listening.
Yeah. There's also like programmatic advertising's also been around for a while, letting AI and algorithms control your ad spend. I know like in past roles, like I've not had direct experience with it, but the folks that I've worked with that have managed that have had mixed feelings about it, generally on the more negative side in terms of their ad spend. So I do wonder if folks tuning in at home, if you've used AI to control or manage some of your ad spend, I'd be really curious to know like what your success has been with that. And then, yeah, like general campaign management, you can do some really advanced stuff with things like if this, then that, or Zapier. So there's some really cool functions. Almost any function now you can offload onto AI or link some of them together to do a few things. And there's one last thing I wanted to share before we sort of move on to the next step of just like we'll cover what you can expect to pay for some of these types of services. There's one website that I stumbled upon called aishrine.com. And I'm going to put this, or Maya, can I trouble you to put this link into the chat on LinkedIn?
Yes, I will do that.
AI Shrine is a neat website that is just an aggregator for all of the AI tools that are out there. So it pulls in all of these, the tools, the websites, so you can link to. So it just gives you a consolidated database to view tools, research, and find what's new. So you can check that link out, and that's a great way to just find out what's new and what's cool out there and what AI can do for you. All right. Now that we've covered just some of those functions, we're going to move on to just the general pricing because, again, if you're, depending on the size of your brand, you really have to evaluate if AI is going to be worth the cost of the subscription or that initial investment. So with all these options, the pricing is really across the board from what I've seen. I'd love to kind of hear your perspective too, if you've been looking at pricing. But for turnkey solutions, that are just kind of like, you don't really need to do a lot of model building or setup and such. You can expect to pay anywhere from free plans that offer like basic free services. Canva offers their service. They have some cool AI tools, which we'll dive into a little bit later with copywriting and image generation. And I actually found it to be really affordable. It's $120 a year for their like pro plan individual, and then for like their team, it's $150 for 2 seats. But that gives you everything that Canva can do normally, which is cool and pretty robust. But then also you get access to a content copywriting tool, which I've used pretty heavily and have had really positive experience with, and also their text to image creator, which is okay. I'm not. I can sing praises for their copywriting tool, but their image creation tool, again, it comes down to the models that you're building off of and the quality of them. And well, I'll show you some of the stuff that I've pulled from that in a little bit.
Right.
Maya, what have you seen in terms of like pricing for AI software?
I feel like it's kind of all over the board more, and the way people are doing it too, like what systems they're using, like if they're using like a token system or they're using a subscription model. And so I feel like you kind of have to really kind of dig into how they're setting up their system, because this technology is kind of new still, so it's not like of course if you want this technology you have to pay around this and you have to have this kind of system. It's still like kind of being built up, so I think some research is needed regardless.
Can you like explain the credit token system a little bit? I think that's like an interesting new way to engage with it that's come up.
Area.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I've kind of seen, and I definitely wouldn't say I'm the most knowledgeable on this, but I think it is like some systems are set up like you may get 10 free tokens a week, a month, or whatever their setup is. And so every, generated thing that you put in, say you're asking for a caption and you click, search whatever, that's going to take a token. So then you only have 9 other free tokens or tokens that you've bought or whatever. So they do it by like a token system. So essentially like trading in one token for one generated whatever you wanted.
Yeah, it's just like it is an interesting way to how they're monetizing the platform. But then just if you have a team or somebody that's like a lot of folks using it, it's an interesting way to make sure to track the expenditure because you can
Yes.
burn through it pretty quickly depending on what you're working on. Yeah, and then like if you're looking into more specialized tools, those prices start to increase. I've seen anywhere from like 250 to 450 a year. With some of the more advanced tools, the ones that are just offer more technical or more like longer like flows, anywhere from like $500 to $1,500 per month. So they can really start adding up there. And then if you're, super awesome mega agency right now and you're going to invest in your own AI solution, you can expect to start around 6K, anywhere up to 35K for that investment to build that. Because there's a lot involved with building new models, testing, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, the cost of maintaining that. I am curious, just before we move on, what are you, if you're willing to share, I'd love to know what you're generally paying or budgeting for AI tools, like maybe monthly or yearly. Just kind of curious how much of folks' resource is actually being allocated to these types of tools, and like where the value is for you all there.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question because like I think you could get a lot of value out of these tools and make your workflows more efficient and more streamlined. But yeah, like where does that money come from if you haven't already allocated for that? Or are you taking it from other places? So I think that is a really interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, because again, like depending on what it is, like I think Canva is a really easy cost to absorb because you can use it for so many other functions. And then bonus, you get some AI support there too. But with more specialized tools, then it's like, okay, well, I need this for, to manage my email. I need this to create copy. I need this for images, just like anything else, it adds up. So I'm just kind of curious to like, yeah, where are folks' priorities in terms of what's helping you the most? Let's talk about actual tools.
All right.
What's
Yeah.
your favorite, Maya? What have you been using?
I will say I've been using ChatGPT when it lets me in, when it's not overloaded with the service. I will give you my little hack, even though I feel like that may overload the service. But it's it's kind of counterproductive for me. But I'll share nonetheless. I've been told to get on it in the morning. So when you first get into work, obviously if you're in like California and the 3 hours behind like Eastern time, you're kind of screwed with that a little bit. But then you maybe have it later in the day. But if you get on as soon as you get to work or whatever, or as soon as you wake up, you pull it open and you actually get into the system, you probably will have a better chance like having access the whole day rather than someone who's getting on at like 12. Um, and is that the system's like so overloaded because everybody's at work at that time and everything. So
Wait, so if you're
I had
logged in, do you like keep your spot for a little bit? Is that how it
I
works?
think that's how it works. That's how it's been working for me because, yeah, if I go in, I just leave it open in the daytime and then I'll go in. Sometimes it'll say like, "Oh, it's like not working right now," but sometimes it just works totally fine. I haven't touched it for like, I don't know, 4 hours, something like that, and it'll still work. So that's a little hack you can try with ChatGPT. But I do really like ChatGPT. I feel like the responses it gives me do feel very personal, and I'm able to put in like the tone that I want, and it gives me a very good response back. I like to write very like cheeky or witty, with some humor in it, not very like salesy. And so I feel like it gives me a lot of really good responses with that. So that's why I've kind of seen success in that one. I used Copy AI a little bit and I really love it. And then I've used Canva a little bit. I don't really know if I have a full-fledged opinion on the Canva one yet. But yeah, I would say I like ChatGPT the most.
Cool. And then Carlin chimed in with another tip, having luck signing in with an incognito window. So that's a good tip. And then, yeah, some other
Okay.
tips, subscribing for premium access definitely will help. Again, if that's worth it to you, $20 does seem pretty reasonable. Yeah, so it's neat that there's definitely some options there. Yeah, and ChatGPT is just so robust. I think it's a very, very useful functional tool. Anything else that you've been using that you're kind of stoked to talk about, or just have had like really good experience with?
I've been having a lot of just fun with the image creation. I've used DALL-E and played with that a little bit. That's another OpenAI system. So ChatGPT is written by OpenAI, and so is DALL-E. And yeah, I think it's just fun to like play with things. You can add things into an image or remove things from an image. Obviously, you can change the style of an image, or you can create an image out of nowhere, like a lot of these systems. And it is just really fun. And I feel like this one has a huge learning curve. Like obviously, like the copywriting does as well, but I think image creating does, because you have to learn like styles of images that you want. Like if you want a painting, like what kind of painting? If you want a reiteration of a photo, how do you want it reiterated? How do you express that? So I feel like that's like really interesting, and it's been really fun to play with. I haven't used it in a practical sense yet, and there is like huge like issues when it comes to words on a screen. I know I typed in one time like meme, and it like knew the format of a meme, but the words on the screen were like gibberish. It's just random all over the place. It was not English, it was not legible for me.
Yeah.
So that is a big downfall at the moment with it.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, you definitely it's a lot of trial and error, certainly I found. Yeah, and there's some really cool comments in here. Folks excited to try out some new methods, some new tools. So very glad to hear that. Yeah, I've already mentioned I've been using Canva a lot actually, and I know Kevin had was surprised that it had that feature. So I'll show that off here in a little bit, and how it how it can be used. Also, I mean, grammar. Like sometimes there's tools out there that's like, oh, that's an AI tool. I didn't actually like think of that as an AI tool, but my discipline is primarily copywriting, and I've been using Grammarly, I think since its inception, as an assistant. And it just sometimes you kind of take for granted how useful some of these tools can be,
Yeah.
even if they're not maybe creating new content whole cloth. Sometimes just the general assistance in terms of maybe quality or aligning to tone or other aspects of your role can be useful.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't thought of Grammarly as like my little assistant, but it definitely is, and I like kind of looking at it like that.
Yeah, and I mean, just like any other AI tool, you can feed it certain parameters, and then ask for results and help
Mhm.
to get to where you want to be.
Right.
Ooh, Notion AI. That sounds familiar, but it doesn't. I'm not figuring out what it does.
I've heard of that as well.
Yeah, if you're quick on the typing, let us know what we want whole cloth. Yes, we do. No models. All right. Well, so those are some of our favorite tools. Definitely post your favorite tools as well. These comments are also going to be on our LinkedIn page, so other people can scroll through. And I think it's really valuable for other folks to see what marketers are using and having success with. Because again, there's so many tools out there. You can't try them all, but it's nice to help make those connections. Like, oh, you use Notion.
Yeah.
You can reach out and just get those perspectives.
I would also
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I would also love to know if people are using AI at this point to make videos. We did like a little bit of background into AI video creation. But yeah, I don't know if it would replace like a human talking, especially in the age of authenticity.
Mm.
So I'm curious on what your guys' thoughts are on like AI video creation, whether it's like with an animated person or animated voice or whatever. Like, what your thoughts are on that? Because I feel like that takes all of this another step with the video. So just curious what your guys' thoughts are on that.
Yeah, uh, that's a very great point. Hillel asked a very poignant question. Is there currently any regulation for AI, or are we still in the Wild West? My perspective is that we're still in the Wild West. There's, I mean, we are now seeing legislation, or not legislation. Now we are seeing some of these companies being taken to task in the judicial system. So we will be, I absolutely am confident we'll start seeing legislation around AI coming out. But right now at this point, I feel like it's push the boundaries until somebody says, whoa, and then you get like, what is it? Ask for forgiveness, not
Yeah, not
permission.
us. Yeah, not permission. And yeah, like this is like off topic, so I'm just gonna like touch it and then we'll come back. But like one of my first things when I was thinking about AI and like when we first started talking about ethics, it was like, what is the scope of this? Like, can I go into an AI system and ask like who my crush has been talking to on Facebook Messenger or something? And if they partnered with Facebook, would they pull that information for me? Like, how deep could all of this go? Like, that would obviously be worst case scenario. Please don't dig into my personal records and then allow people to search that. But that's just something that came to mind. I was like, that's terrifying. I hope that does not ever happen, but I have no control at this time over that.
Yeah, and again, it's just you're at sort of the mercy of who's creating the things, and yeah. So again, I think these conversations are, really important because defining where as a community, as society, as people, where our personal boundaries are is really
Mhm.
important because this technology is exciting, it's useful, it's also frightening in some ways. Um,
Yeah,
but
so
I do
use it
think,
when it's useful to help you and
yeah,
hope the bad stuff doesn't happen.
yeah, and
That'd be my take.
and it's a little tropey, but to quote old Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility, and the same is true with these tools, very
Mhm.
much so. So I think that's a
Agreed.
nice little anecdote. Thanks for bringing that in. Let's talk about putting AI to task.
Let's do it, yeah.
All right. We teased a little earlier that we were going to run through a quick demo. So again, this is just one of so many ways you could utilize artificial intelligence in your workflow. We're specifically going to talk about social media management and creating some content. We also, surprise, we work for Cloud Campaign, a social media management platform that helps marketing agencies scale. So we are going to be using our social media management platform to help demonstrate some of these features, but you could use this with any preferred platform that you enjoy. If you're not currently using Cloud Campaign, you can try us 2 weeks free at cloudcampaign.com and see how we can scale your social media management. So without further ado, let me just present real fast.
I just noticed your name says Chris GPT, and that cracks me up.
I had to get a little meta.
Yeah.
All right, so I just want to make sure that everyone can kind of see my social media dashboard. Is that true? Actually, no, I need to get into Canva. I promised I was going to show off some artificial intelligence, and I just got a little bit
That's our
ahead of
beautiful
myself.
platform, though, if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we'll get
We'll
back to
see
that.
it again in a little bit.
We'll get back to there in just a second. I want to share Canva right now. Okay, we're in Canva. So using Canva has let me just start over. Canva does have an AI copywriting feature, and to use it, it's pretty easy. You just go into a document or create a new document, and it gives you this option here to magic write. And you would enter a prompt, wait a few moments, and it'll spit out some results for you. I'm going to save time, and I've already done my prompting, and I want to walk through. We'll walk through some prompting tips, but just to kind of speed up the process a little bit, I've gone through some of the prompts and left the results as is to show you what it is capable of doing. So as we're getting into creating content for AI or with AI, to use in our social media management workflows, the first thing as a marketer that I'm thinking of is, what is this content for and who is it for? So some of the things I'm looking at are, is this part of a campaign, and how do I want to use it? Like for what purpose? Brand building, engagement, that sort of thing. So for our example, I'm going to create two types of social media campaigns using AI to demonstrate how you can spin up campaigns very quickly with some of these tools. So the scenarios that I'm setting up are, I'm going to be sharing a link to an AI blog post and using social media content to promote that with the specific goal of driving links to that page. I'm also going to be repurposing that content in a different way for one-time use social media posts that I can schedule out over a series of weeks to then just maximize my efficiency as a separate thread. So now they've sort of like framed what we're doing. Just want to walk you through some of the prompts that I did. And then as we go through this, Maya, do you want to jump in with some prompting tips?
Yeah, I'd love that. So yeah, kind of as we were saying earlier, like prompting and learning how to use a new system comes with a learning curve. And obviously this is still a new tool. So it is still something that we are learning how to figure out how to use perfectly. But I've been digging into some tips to try to figure out personally how to write better prompts and how to share with you guys how to write better prompts. So here's some things that I have found out so far. So one, I think we need to really use clear language. So make sure your prompts are really precise and clear. You don't want to have like a ton of subpoints in one like request. And you don't want to use any like complex jargon or slang words. I don't know if the system will know what slay means in the term that you're using it, or whatever. The
You might
new
get
terms
some
are always. Yeah,
NSFW results for
yeah, you
that.
may get some like different kind of slang. Anyway, so that's just one thing to be aware of. Using clear language, you need to be specific. I mean, the system only is going to put out what you ask it to, so it's not going to know exactly what you want unless you tell it. So you need to make sure you're being specific. No ambiguousness or open-ended questions. Know what you kind of are wanting and try to frame that so it'll give you what you're asking. So then that kind of goes to like giving context, if the AI system, needs more information, just supply it with that. So any situational information, or this is where tone comes in. If you want to write something in the voice of Ryan Reynolds, you need to tell it that. Or if you want to write something, I think someone said like Hemingway earlier in the chat, like you need to tell it that. Or, just play around with it and see what tones you like. Maybe you like the Hemingway tone. Maybe you like the Ryan Reynolds tone. Maybe, you don't have to say a person either. You can say witty, funny, friendly, you can have all these different kinds of tones. So, learning what tones you like, I think is a big part of using AI generated copy and captions and stuff like that. So that's something to think about. And then the last tip I have here pretty much is that if you don't like what you get, ask it for more. All the time in ChatGPT, I'm like, another one, write for more. Another one, use emojis this time. What about different hashtags? So don't be afraid to ask it more, or go back and rephrase your question. Maybe that Ryan Reynolds tone wasn't really what you wanted. Maybe, it was something a little like Kevin Hart tone or something. I don't know. It was something different. It was less friendly and more funny or something. So go back in and don't be afraid to ask it for more. But yeah, just know there's gonna be a little learning curve coming here. So yeah, that's some tips for you to try to help.
No, those are great tips. And if you have some awesome prompting tips that you've learned as you've been exploring AI, please post them in the chat, share them.
Yes.
Definitely want to spread the love of knowledge for how to use these, how to use these tools, but prompting is such a big part of it. So Maya, you brought up a lot of really good points. And I left what I like to do as a copywriter is like to iterate. And like you said, ask it for more. You can always ask AI for more. So I started off with this initial prompt, and it gave me these 5 results. It's neat because you could tell it to write 30 posts if you want. You could tell it, it's pretty robust, which is neat. And personally, I usually don't use the first results. I like to iterate. So I started to change some of the parameters that I'm asking for it. I wanted to see, with some different, different tone. include emojis, start bringing in hashtags, and then started limiting to the character length. I want to be under 280 characters so that I can just speed up the process with writing posts for Twitter, for example. And then ultimately I found some usable ones that I liked. Once I did this, I take that information, take that copy paste into a new document where I can just, as I don't remember who it was, I apologize, but massage. This copy needs a little bit of massaging. So I went ahead and did this ahead of time, went through and just made my changes. Also wanted to include my call to action. I didn't ask AI for that. Sometimes I leave really technical stuff like that out because I can easily insert that. And I really want to keep my prompt focused on what I ask it. So some of that stuff I just leave out. But now I've got 5 social media posts. Please feel free to read through them and evaluate the quality of them. Written by AI, not me. But this gives me a good jumping off point. What I can do then is take these posts and pop them into our preferred social media management platform of choice. In this case, I'm using Cloud Campaign, but not before sourcing our images. So as I mentioned, Canva does have a text to image feature. These are a couple of the images that I got from it. You can definitely leave your visceral reactions to these images in the comments. I'm not really thrilled with them. I don't think they're great. The resolution's kind of low. They're just kind of a little crude, a little rough. To use this feature, it is kind of buried into the apps. But if you click on apps, you can access the text to image right here. Type in what you want. Again, you can also apply these styles. I was trying like a 3D sculpted clay style, like the King Super commercials, because I think they're cute. Didn't really translate too well, but your mileage may vary. These are some images that I actually did create with Midjourney. I think they're a little more striking, a little more dynamic. But again, like these models, there are some ethical questions about using these. So this is not something that I would use. Also, like when you're looking at AI, there's just like weird things to look out for. Hands. AI is not good at hands. You can see just like some really weird stuff going on with her hands, her feet there. This guy's hands kind of weird. There's this little floaty thing. So there's always just like weird little quirks with AI. But this is one actually that Canva spit out that I did enjoy and I took and used as a part of our post. So within Canva, just added some copy, a little bit of branding. That one's to link to our blog post. And then I created a couple other posts, graphic images for the other captions. This one I think came from a different tool, Blue Willow. Again, like these are a little bit better. It's neat because the reason I like using these tools like image creation is if you have a very clear idea of what you want and you just can't find it on Google or stock images, you just type it into your image creation platform of choice and spit out, something very close to what you had in mind. Again, you can use cool things like against a purple studio backdrop, different stylings, do it as a cartoon, a painting. It's really neat that what you can accomplish with some of that stuff. But we won't linger here too long. What I'd like to do is go over to back to Cloud Campaign and just show you, we've spun up some content, the bare bones of it. This is how you get it into the post. Now, when I'm creating social media content, I do prefer to create en masse. So instead of doing 5, I'd probably do 30 posts. And then I would also use something like a spreadsheet to kind of bulk import that stuff. But for this, we're just going to keep it simple. So within...
I'm the opposite. I do simple, but everyone does different workflows.
Yeah. And, so we're in-house marketers for Cloud Campaign. So, our, scheduling content doesn't take as much time. But if you're, an account manager and you're managing 10, 15, 20 clients, scheduling that much content at a time really is a time saver.
Right.
Yeah. So, sorry, there was a quick question here. Oh, Milana. So the reason I wouldn't use that AI image with the model, I pulled that image from Midjourney, which, as I mentioned before, they scrape their images from, without through less than legitimate means. So I pulled it as an example just to kind of show the difference between the quality, but it's not something that I would want to use in any like professional marketing use case as collateral. So I hope that answered your question. But so we're back into Cloud Campaign. We're going to jump in with the first post. The scenario is to drive traffic to our blog link. So going into this post, we have a built-in Lincoln shortener within Cloud Campaign, so it automatically creates a trackable campaign. But when I'm in here, I can add my copy. And what's neat about this is we created 5 posts earlier using AI, Canva's AI copywriting tool. Now, what I did was I actually loaded all 5 of those comments or captions in this post. So this is going to be a piece of evergreen content for the blog that is going to post those 5 captions once a month before it retires itself. And I have an evergreen tag, so it'll automatically pop into my schedule. I don't really have to do anything in terms of like scheduling there because I have those automations set up, which is really neat. And then I also tag these as AI focused. As a company and as marketers, as we're exploring this content, we want to see how it performs. And then I actually tagged my content as AI generated. And the reason I wanted to run some of these content experiments is, we can, using these category tags within Cloud Campaign, we can track the performance of those types of posts. So I was really curious, what is the efficacy of AI generated content versus human generated content over time? So by tagging that content with these little tags, I can compare that content against my other content to see, oh wow, AI is really making a good impact and saving us a lot of time. It might be smart to invest more into this, into whether it's training more or using it more often or whatever it is. So I think it's really neat to be able to run those experiments. And then of course I can control like where those posts are going to. But it's neat because in just a few moments I was able to create an evergreen campaign linking to our blog that can run for 5 months or however long I would like, really within just a few minutes. So that's one example of driving sort of a very specific campaign using AI. Maya, did I miss anything for that one?
I don't think so. I think you nailed it.
Cool. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I personally love using our categorization tags. Like somebody was asking what's an evergreen tag, so it's kind of in there explaining. But
thank you.
I think you did great.
Yeah. So we can just do like a quick. Again, we're throwing around some industry jargon using terms like evergreen. And evergreen content would be something that you would want to live on, for as long as possible, and something that maybe you just have to update maybe yearly. But the category tags within Cloud Campaign are basically a blank canvas. So you build them, you create them from whatever based on your needs. So I created one called Evergreen as just a way to manage that type of content and schedule it. But that was a really great question. So let me just quickly finish up with the second scenario that we had set up. Again, in this sample, we're taking those 5 posts that we had created using Canva earlier and those images, put those images into Cloud Campaign along with the copy. This is going to be a one-time post. And the goal here is a little bit softer. I just want to start building some awareness and thought leadership around AI with Cloud Campaign, with the brand. So really the goal here is just get folks to comment and get their perspective. For us, that would be like a high value goal for this type of campaign. So with this, there's a few little differences. The copy is adjusted just a little bit. So the call to action, we're not linking to the blog. We're asking them like, how are you using AI? And I also shifted the categories that I'm using. This is going to be one caption, one post, one image, posted one time, and then it's done. But I do have 5 other captions and images. Again, for this example, I only have 2 that we can use to maximize this concept, this thread, over time with really minimal effort. So we can stay present and continue talking, on a weekly, daily, monthly basis about AI, but it really took very little time for us to spin up that content. And that's what in terms of this workflow and creating content rapidly, maybe for lots of clients, that's just one way that I've been leveraging AI to be able to spin up stuff rapidly. And then, I saw drip campaigns. Let's check that next. So we created these posts. We've tagged them. I've been talking a lot about these tags. Let's see what that actually looks like. So if we jump over into our schedules, what I've done in advance of this webinar is create automatic posting schedules. So this is the evergreen one that I created earlier. And this is a drip schedule. I have it set to post once a month. So with this post, it's not yet approved, but go in here and we've got these 5 captions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll post through. So it'll post the first caption in the first month. Next month, it'll post the next caption. The following month, it'll post the next caption, which is great because it'll keep the content fresh, but it'll also avoid penalizing us on social media accounts for duplicate content, which we don't want. And the way this works is this is just a blank hopper, if you will, and I select the category that I like it to pull from. And if a piece of content is tagged with that category, it automatically gets pulled into this hopper and scheduled to the calendar, which is really neat. So again, if you're using like a spreadsheet to import this content, you could import hundreds, if not thousands of posts in an instant and have them scheduled and schedule all your content for the year if you wanted to, if you're a super diligent marketer. So that's an evergreen example, and that's why it's tagged monthly, just for our internal knowledge. And then the other one is just a regular recurring campaign, a weekly campaign. I called this AI Weekly Wisdom. I set it to post every Wednesday, and it's pulling from those one-time use categories so that I can pull from. And I have that posting, every Wednesday. If there's something in here tagged with that category and it's approved, it'll get pulled onto the calendar, which I'll show you next, and ready to schedule. If it's on the calendar but it's not approved, it will not post. So that's if you're managing lots of accounts, that's a nice little safety fail-safe. But we've got our post there, we've got our post there, and then the other one was scheduled for March. Our blog post example.
You can see my content hasn't been approved yet. Don't worry, it'll get approved.
It will be. But yeah, so using that is a great way to just like rapidly spin up content using AI, sourcing out your images. Cloud Campaign comes built in with Pexel's library, so you could use stock images. If you're already using Canva has a ton of image creation tools. So I've really been loving Canva in terms of rapidly just creating content, captions, ideas, popping those into the one post used multiple times, and really just like maximizing those threads. So that's it for that demo. Again, one of many workflows you could potentially use with AI. Would definitely love to know some ways that you've been using AI in your workflow specifically. Have you had success with strategies like this? What other ways are you sort of saving time using AI? Give you a chance to put those in the comments. Damien asked, is there a recording? Oh, you missed most of the, it's traffic. It's the worst. Don't worry, Damien, we got you. This will be live on our LinkedIn page right after we're finished. We'll also be sending out a recap email to everybody with the recording, links that we've shared, etc., and a survey as well. And we're getting close. Go ahead.
I saw Sherry asked about this training session and about scheduling and stuff, and
Yeah.
just wanted to reiterate, like, yes, we do have some resources you can find on our YouTube. You can ask your success managers to help kind of walk you through some stuff if you would like. You can do our cloud certification, try to help you kind of learn some of this stuff. But yeah, we would love to help train everyone on all of this stuff so you can use our tool as best as possible. So make sure you're reaching out to us and we will get you the help that you need to learn all of this. If you're interested in learning more, like you can shoot either Chris or me a message, or if you're already a Cloud Campaign user, you can ask your success manager. But yes, don't be afraid to ask to learn more. We'd love to help you.
100%. Like there's nothing that gets us more excited than helping folks just save time using this platform. I use it in a lot, and it's wonderful to see other folks and using it in interesting ways too. So I also saw a question. Carlin asked, any ideas around repurposing content uses for Chat GPT? What do you mean by like content uses? Because like one thing that I've been doing is using it to slice up things in different ways. Like you have a certain statement, like give me the contrary perspective of this. Give me 3 different ways to say the same thing, for like different captions if I want to do multiple captions. But I'd be kind of curious to hone in on more like what you're asking.
Also, Jamie asked an amazing question in the chat, and she asked if Cloud Campaign will be adding some kind of feature within the AI space. And so we just want to kind of put some eyes on that and say there may be something in the works, you guys. So
Garrick just asked too.
Okay, yeah. See, you guys are smart. You're smart marketers here. There may be something in the works that we're working on. We would love to hear some feedback. We're going to be sending out a survey that will allow you to share some of that with us, on what kind of tools you'd like to see, how you maybe want to implement it, how it'd help you. So feel free to please fill out that survey for us or let us know in the chat right now. But yeah, we may be having something in the works.
Yeah. So if you, in terms of a social media management platform, would absolutely love to know, magic wand in your hands right now, what would AI do for you if you had it in your platform, if you had it within Cloud Campaign? We would love to know. We have a crack team of engineers who can whip up some pretty cool stuff. So we'd love to know what would benefit you the most. Also, Carlin followed up. She puts a paragraph of her blog in there and asks to write 5 tweets for it. That's a great way to seed. I could also recommend if you're able to post the blog and it's live, you can actually feed it that URL. It's called seeding. And you can then use that to kind of get the more, like, instead of just a paragraph, maybe like a broader perspective of the blog, which could help. Seeding is really useful in that way. But all it takes sometimes is just being able to provide the URL. It can be just as easy as that. Ooh, upsell. AI upsell. That's cool. That's an interesting one. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I hope that helps you, Carlin. Definitely, please follow up if it does, or if it doesn't. Shame on me. I'll see what I can do to serve better. But that's worked really well for me. Yeah, you can just drop the URL into chat, and you could do like summarize this blog post, or write 5 tweets based on this blog post with the URL. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for your attendance. Thank you so much for your perspective, sharing what's worked well for you. Really appreciate the comments. Again, we will be sending out a survey link. Please, this survey link really helps us formulate our content, really helps us shape the future of our content and serve you better. We also have some questions about how you're using AI to help us as we integrate AI into our platform. All right. Aside from that, if you are not using Cloud Campaign right now, you can head over to cloudcampaign.com to try us for 2 weeks free. It really is the best way to help scale your social media management. Jump on a demo with our team and they will get you up to speed quickly, setting up automated schedules, using categories, scaling your business like a pro. All right, Maya, is there anything else?
No, I just want to say thanks everyone for tuning in, hanging out with us, giving your thoughts and your opinions. We hope to be doing this again soon, so look out for something in the future from us. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with everyone today.
Yeah, thank you so much. And actually, we'll share the feedback form in the chat below. So keep an eye out for that. Maya, could I trouble you to pop that in there for me real quick?
Yes, let me get that.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. And again, survey in the email as well in the link, the chat below. We'll also be sending a video recording of this for you if you've missed parts of it or if you're stuck in traffic. We got you. Thanks so much, and we will catch you next month on LinkedIn Live with another event. Bye, everyone.
Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye.